MashaAllah. We have Sister Kubra from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Assalamu alaikum, sister. You're live on Ask Huda.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, I watch both Peace TV and Huda channel, and I watch Mr. Zakir Naik and Dr. Salah. But I'm confused about the answer. I want to know whether the face covering of the face of women is compulsory if in Islam. Because Dr. Zakir Naik says that no hadith supports this, but Saleh Sahab says that it is compulsory. So I would like you both to clarify my answer.
Okay.
Here we go again.
Okay. We also have Omar from the Kingdom. That's ask@huda.tv. I think the problem started right now when we have contradicting ideas, or is it distinct?
No, not contradiction.
Okay,
this direction.
We have Sister Kubra
different opinion, another different opinion.
No. Okay, Sister Kubra asking that you guys have opposing opinions with regards to covering the face.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyi Mustafa. I do believe if we recall all the episodes of Ask Huda from the beginning, on some particular issues, specifically the niqab or the face veil or the cover, normally I answer as follows. I say there are two different opinions. And I say the opinion of the vast majority of the fuqaha that covering the face is mere recommended. But I say the more right view that it is mandatory based on the following evidence. So there is a big difference between that you have this view and the Shaykh have a different view. It is fair and balanced. It is fair enough to not just give a fatwa. We have trained our audience, alhamdulillah, shukrullah, that we're not the type of haram or halal, yes or no. We don't do that. Rather, Ask Huda is an educational program. You know the reason. Why do you adopt this view? Why do you say there are 2 or 3 or 4 different views, but this specific view is more right? So you don't say, I am Hanafi, or I am Shafi'i, or I am Maliki, or whatever. Rather, I follow the Quran and the Sunnah. Based on tons of evidences that many of the scholars have concluded that covering the face for a woman is a must. One of those references, for instance, through the diversion meaning. In order to understand the term, the diversion meaning, you have to have studied the principles of jurisprudence. When the Prophet ﷺ says for a woman who is performing Hajj, it is not permissible to cover your face if you are in a state of ihram. So through the diversion meaning that we understand that in normal cases, what is the original condition? That the face is covered. It's like when a man is wearing regular clothes, but in ihram you're not allowed to wear the regular clothes or any such clothes. This is a normal case. So this is one incident. Then we have also with regards to the conditions of Hajj. The mother of the believers, Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha wa ardaha, narrated that whenever we were performing Hajj with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we uncovered our faces, because it is restricted for a woman and for a man as well to cover the face during ihram. Unless if men were passing by, then we lowered our isdal. What does this signify? It signifies that they understood from the verse يُدْنِينَ عَلَيْهِنَّ مِنْ جَلَابِيبِهِنَّ to cover their entire bodies, including the face. It is very interesting that we have some statements of the companions, of the interpreters of the Quran. Abdullah ibn Abbas, who is known as Turjuman al-Quran, the best one who understood the Quran after the Prophet ﷺ and interpreted that to us. When he was asked about what is the meaning of يُدْنِينَ عَلَيْهِنَّ مِنْ جَلَابِيبِهِنَّ, he covered his head and face, and he showed his eye in order to say this is how it should be. This is the opinion of those who say it is a must, in addition to list of other evidences. What's really interesting is the majority or the fuqaha of those who say that it is mere recommended, not a must, they said, but in case of fearing the temptation or the fitna, both ways, either tempting men or being tempted by men, then it is a must for a woman to cover her face. This is also the view of the fuqaha who said that it is not a wajib, rather it is recommended. I don't see any more turbulent time or fitan eras than the time which we're living in right now. So I say, if you believe based on the available evidence that it is a must, or you fear a fitna for yourself, or giving fitna to others, such as if a woman, Allah bless her with a beautiful face, basically the beauty of a woman is focused 90% in her face. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ has said, انظر إليها فإنه أحرى أن يؤدم بينكما. If somebody is interested to marry some woman, before proposing to her and talking to her family, take a look at her, in order to see whether you make up your mind, whether you really, because beauty is one of the components of making the decision, right? Look at what? Swimming suit? While she's taking a dive? No. Look at the face. Look at the face. Every party and every group have their proofs as well, but here I just summarized in brief, and I said, after all, I feel it is more preferable and it is more befitting for a woman nowadays, if she's living in a society which does not have a problem with that, to adopt covering her face. Wallahu a'lam.
Before I ask Dr. Zakir Naik to comment, we have Brother Muhammad from UAE closing up here on Ask Huda. Care to comment on Dr. Salah's comment?
As Sheikh Salah rightly said, that there are different opinions as far as the niqab is fard or not, and I do agree with him totally. There are different opinions, and I do agree with him, as he said earlier, the most of the fuqahas, they say that it is not fard, but it is mustahab or recommended. But there are quite a few scholars, or quite few but large in numbers. Few doesn't mean few, but the number they are large, who do say that wearing niqab is fard. And each of these two group of scholars have given their reasoning. And as a person, as a Muslim, we analyze the reasoning. And what we feel is more close to Quran Sunnah, we give the word. And as Sheikh Salah, he feels that wearing the niqab fard is the more appropriate based on Quran and Sunnah. And when I read the reasoning of both these group of scholars, I agree with Sheikh Nasruddin Albani. Not because he's Sheikh Nasruddin Albani, his reasoning. And in his book, he has given more than 20 reasons why niqab is not fard. I myself could refute many of them, which I don't think it is correct. That it is, because I'm a debater. So whenever I give answer, I punch holes in my own answer. Out of them, there are at least 7, which I feel are irrefutable. And if you go to my website, I've given those 7 reasons, which is irrefutable, as far as I think that niqab is not fard. And I being a debater, their own debate with Sheikh Muhammed Salah, mashallah, great Sheikh, alhamdulillah, Allah is going to get knowledge. But what I do, that whatever reasoning the other group of scholars have given, I use that in my favor.
Okay.
And out of that, I think 2 reasons which Sheikh Salah said. He said that while in ihram, in Umrah, or when you go for Hajj, it is a lady who's in ihram, her face should not be covered. So he said that normally, if it's not covered, so the contrary is fard. His reason, which I disagree. If that's the case, if it is haram to cover the face, it becomes fard, then many things which is haram should become fard otherwise. In which I can give 100 things, in which it is haram and is not fard otherwise.
Okay.
Many things.
Okay.
Many. You can give umpteen number of things. What I say, many things which are mubah and many things which are mustahab, they become haram. For example, shaving, for example, clipping the nails. Mustahab. It becomes haram during that state of ihram. Many things. So many things which are mustahab become haram. There's not a single thing which is fard which becomes haram.
SubhanAllah.
If that's the case, offering salah is fard, then it becomes haram during normal life? No. So in logic, this itself defeats the purpose.
He's basically answering the third part.
Therefore I'm saying, but this again, I never go my answer based on logic. But logic, Allah has given that brain to me, mashallah. This is not the reason why it is not fard. But logic, Allah has given me the brain. Any logical thing I can counter argue. Therefore logic is not number 1 in Islam. Number 1 is Quran, then is Sahih Hadith. Logic is third. So this is not the reason. But the reasoning what the other people are giving, most of the scholars who say that niqab is fard is on logic. It is not on Sahih Hadith.
No.
Because for anything to be fard, it should be either proven from the Quran or from the statement of the Prophet. If it's a derived thing, fine, there can be various derived things, which also can be fard, but unless you have solid proof, you can't say anything is fard or haram. So most of the scholars who say niqab is fard, it is derived. And in derived, we can turn the tables over. So if you say, therefore I say that if niqab, if showing the face is fard, normal time it cannot be haram.
Okay.
Right? That's one point. Second point, which I can go on every point. Why I say it is not for the. Second, he says that beauty is in the face. I do agree with him, but not 100%.
90%?
No, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you statistics. Again, this is not the reason. You can't give your logic because face is most beautiful, therefore face should be covered. This is our human logic. Allah's commandment is far superior to human logic. Because the most important part of face is the eyes.
The eyes.
And the eyes are seen. Eyes can be seen. Again, it defeats knowledge. Again, just to tell you, according to this scientific research, when a man looks at a woman, 68% they first look at the bosom. It's a recent research that came.
68%?
They initially look at the bosom, at the chest, not at the face.
SubhanAllah.
Fine? So that's the reason Allah says in the Quran that cover the veil over the bosom. The scientific research. Anyway, just because our logic says, I'm not saying that's the reason niqab is not fard. The reason I gave is based on the hadith of Muhammed Salah, that Muhammed Salah said, it's a hadith of Abu Dawud in the book of Salah, that when a lady reaches puberty and she offers Salah, her complete body should be covered except the face and the hands up the wrist. And the same word that is used for the veil in Surah Nur, chapter number 24, verse number 31, is used in the hadith. Same word. Jilbab, khimar.
Okay.
No scholar today ever says that when you offer salah, your face should be covered. No scholar that I know of.
It's not permissible to cover the face in the salah. It is not permissible to cover the face in the salah.
So again, the same word which is in Arabic in the hadith of Abu Dawud, Sahih Hadith Muhammad Sallallahu is used in the Quran. So Surah Nur, chapter 24, verse number 31, the word khimar does not mean covering the face. Again, going to jilbab or hinna, it's a verse of Surah Azab, chapter 33, verse number 55, that the jilbab, when it says over, it can be done in various ways. It says close to the body, not on the face. So based on this, I agree more with the argument.
He told me he's a debater, but the hadith is a weak hadith. Hadith Asma.
Of?
Whenever a woman grows the age of puberty.
That's why Sahih by Albani. Sheikh Albani has classified it Sahih.
We'll verify that, inshallah.
Inshallah, we have a lot of time after the show. Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Anyway, there are different opinions. I'm not sure.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Zakir, for finding the time to be an Ask Huda. And of course, Sheikh Yusuf, it's always a pleasure having you on our program here on Huda TV. Dr. Muhammed Salah, it's always a pleasure to be with you here on Ask Huda.